committee. Do we have anyone joining us remotely? No. Everybody's in the room. We need to call roll. I'll just write it down. We have a form.
We have that. You're not voting like you're paying someone.
So we'll get started with item number 1 on the agenda, which is project update. Frank's coming to us.
Right. Thank you, Bob. So just wanted to give you a high level update on some of the major projects that we have been working on. I updated your search.
Okay, I think I printed the correct one.
Okay.
Right, I'm gonna speak up, because I'm fairly deaf.
Who it is? Okay, all right. So the North-South BRT, as we are all aware, with the success of the existing poles, there were hopes to see what will come up with a north-south connection to connect and complement what we're currently at. So that effort, that has been going on for a while. GRTC has been working together with the jurisdiction executive. Currently, we have selected Kingdom to undertake the next phase of it, which is going to be the environmental clearance phase. So we'll be doing the NEPA, the station location, public participation, the downtown routing. So that is what that project kicked off March 27th. So it looks like we are on schedule with that.
We've been calling that phase 2, right? Phase 1 was to select the alignment.
I'll be it right there. So
And the work that Kimberly Warren's doing is for the entire.
I'll be it, right? There's a better great alignment, right?
Okay. So really dialing into details for implementation, is that like phase 3, or is that happening? Because I think we were talking about rolling it out. Yes. So that city to Chippenham was what we were trying to.
So this phase is the whole corridor. The only thing we're looking at for NEPA, like actual NEPA, is between Chamberlain, Wilmer, and Stonebridge. Basically, where the one.
So it stops at the city county.
It's yeah,
For
right
NEPA.
across the, yes, so that'll be what we're looking at as phase 1.
For a lot of does go out to.
Correct. So they're still going to identify the station locations for all the way out, and they will get preliminary NEPA, but won't be to the level of the FDA standards. So then the next phase after that, the next phase after that will be, we'll probably do a year into this one, to be the 0-30% design. That would be specifically moving forward what was approved for NEPA, that first segment. And then depending on how those 2 extensions have done, the 1A, one will have both been in place that time. We can determine if we want to move forward with full NEPA and when for the basic.
It's the extension part, it's just premature for me to look at have things locked down. They would look at.
We're just trying to phase it in terms of being able to really go after funding for it, as well as the 1A in terms of ridership, in order for DRT to actually have service on the road first. So the 1A just went in, and the 1 isn't moving in. So
The reason I was asking is I'm hearing from my colleagues how long people stay.
it's next, I think, up to 2 years. Okay. Yeah, so we want to have it rolling, and if we're ready, we will already have some preliminary stuff. So that's one bit more leave it behind. But we know both. I mean, it's premature in the counties, even in terms of having the transit to move forward.
It
with
makes sense
something.
that it's premature.
Yeah.
Further out.
are you doing the preliminary stuff on Duncan? So how long you want the local service in place to really get a rigorous
Honestly, the counties are, like, once the service is in place, and you guys feel like you're ready. I don't think there's like a standard.
You're not, you benefit from having kind of a established ridership at that point. The ridership can still grow over time. Or is that not?
They do ridership projections as part of the, as part of the official, it's not this big, but
So in the central section, you don't have that ridership.
yes.
And projections. So when do you think this phase 2 is going to be? It sounds like
Yeah, they scoped it for 2 years, the preliminary one, but we know that the engineering can start after, of course, we have the station location, so we assume maybe in a year we can start some parallel effort to at least do some design work. So we're trying to keep multiple balls rolling. But the consultants have time to 2 years.
So really 326, then parallel effort, the academic year to do the stations.
It's not, and it's not just station, the traffic engineering, the full, yeah. So,
Thank you.
And about, I think the story here is also very similar. We're also trying to extend the current goals. And currently, STV is leading that effort for us, and similar to the North-South BRT, there's going to be a new phase, and there'll be an A&E services as well, where they will, you know, that will also include a station location. That kicked off just yesterday.
In the 2-year window for that one too.
I think this is 12.
I think it's a little bit, I think it's 18 months. But this one isn't just NEPA, this is NEPA and.
So we have on this timeline environmental clearance. What is included in that?
She's a new.
So it shows 6 months, am I thinking that right?
What is that 24? Is it spring 24? You shall say about that is what it's supposed to know, but I think we're saying that.
Maybe that green bar.
Yeah, right, yeah.
Will not be-
I see that, yeah. That was the usual sort of.
We also didn't start.
It doesn't necessarily prevent everything from happening, but it does, it's just,
It continues.
yeah, it could look very optimistic if we're thinking in parallel, where one's starting after the other.
You could overlap the green and dark blue, I don't know what color that would be, maybe brown.
Yeah, I think that's part of that also, just like you said.
Slash, all of it's a slash, all the way to the end.
Always been.
Same color, yeah.
So this is 101.
Right.
Not speaking for GRTC, but if there's no burning need to start looking at the extension back in the area with compare. Sure. In my opinion,
There is,
there is-
oh yeah, we have, I think we put it in the out years.
I think that's what.
Yeah.
We're confident that the route, the north-south and the extension north is going to quickly catch up to. Even though you hear a lot of people saying we need BRT. Need good service. I know.
Articulated vehicle, so,
See all the timelines. Do not.
and so, in our effort to address the capacity system, those in need for access, we will get some articulated vehicles into the some local. Thing from what I understand, what, 4 vehicles are being,
We haven't purchased anything.
no, not yet.
And that's gone to the board.
Okay.
That board.
Okay.
So hopefully.
That's where we are with that.
Anticipating, or are we already experiencing times of day when it's all
Yeah, that happened from the get-go, and it has sustained that level. So, yeah, we get regular pictures from riders of the busing people.
This is associated with the full station application.
Yes, it has it on there, so that one was supposed to go to the board actually, this month, but we're still doing some work, the procurement effort, so it'll go next month. And, yeah. May, and it's gonna take, probably at least up to a year.
In the meantime, not involved.
Save us more money each time.
Free demo.
Yes. It's probably 12 months.
So you've done the design, it's for construction and it's for
Construction.
So not to get off topic, but one of the saying that the articulated is that an issue?
Okay.
So, moving on with the, focus on the facilities, master plan. So, as we continue to focus on the current and future needs, on the plan growth for vehicle, as well as service expansion, there's a need to consider, see how we will expand, to accommodate, the vehicles that we'll be getting for the expansion. And as part of that process, there was a consultant hired to design that facility master plan. And currently, from what I understand, the final report has something, and we are internally to see if we get something that we like or interaction.
this is all property currently up at GRTC.
But we're not doing, I don't know if this, is there one for the police storage stuff?
Sorry.
Okay. So, yeah, design and construction that's also removed. That I think is looking at doing some additional, so we're gonna be looking at doing the fleet storage is what's happening, and we want to do some additional analysis of what we could do with the lot, but in interim. So we would not be doing construction in 2025.
So this plan is going to be complete soon.
Yeah.
Possible after, like, get a copy of this after the modifications of the SWIP.
And coming out of the plans, fleet storage, a piece of it. That's what you're looking
Like 2 parallel efforts. The study, the facilities plan looked at what we could do with it beyond the food storage, knowing that we're already at capacity. So what can we do in the short term, identify identified, like some small modifications within the building. Also looked at how we could fit the articulated vehicles, we only have two articulated bays, and actually just like station modifications. They were built for the idea, but like actually more different concept. Looked at that, and then looking at what we could do with this lot. They looked at some alternatives, like even a mixed use development in front with a transfer station and having its breakers. We want to dive more into that and see what else. So separately, the church used to demo, and we bought the lot for this fleet storage.
So, I think that was obviously storage now. In terms of where we are with that, currently we are waiting on the FTA's ETA to see if we can move forward with the demolition of the fleet storage. Because I know that it's all some there's some not but with the demolition of the
But we have all the designs for that, and it should be going out hopefully soon for it's remediation.
So I think I believe that everyone, pretty much knows about the zero emission vehicles and the plans that we have today, but now the idea is to move forward with purchasing 5 of those vehicles for other things on our. So I think we are holding up now, just find out places where we can set up the training facility in place for these plans. The dedicated link study, I think that this study was prompted by injection on the non-dedicated segments of the network. And the focus of the study was pretty much I identify locations where bias priority treatment holding improve OTP reliability. So currently, what the study has ended up with is to I identify 5 segments that will be further analysis. I think the purpose pretty much here is looking at how we can on our peer system, how we can get 50 or more % of the get to be able to address FTE content.
That's 40%,
Sorry,
40, if you have 40% or.
50% or more. Right.
If they're dedicated lanes, then.
What percent are you?
No, that's not, sorry. The study was to look at, so we are over 50%. Yeah, so the study was to look at, like I said, the second one, improve OGP and system reliability. So we have segments, especially in the States building, where like they offer their parking. And so it takes us 12 minutes to go 0.3 miles, and really does cause issues with it. So we're working with the city right now to look at ways to basically make some of that dedicated lane, maybe change some of the turns from the parking deck to really improve performance. And then the second part of the study was not just the BRT, but the rest of the system, where's the capacity, as well as what routes from that would benefit from the dedicated.
So there was a point in time where we were short in inches.
Yes, it was literally inches.
And you guys.
We worked with the city to get that over because FTA was about to fool us from me.
And the county, right? Gave you the.
You did, yes, the county did.
On per day.
I in Spanish, and yes, the.
Ashley reminded me of that. We measured down to the foot, how much was it?
You got a gallon extra paint. So the first bullet, translating that, it seems to read, everything that's painted red takes away a lane of other capacity. This congestion of non-dedicated segments is the segments that are left that are not red. And that there's a study because that has got significantly worse at certain times,
It's all, that particular portion's always been bad.
Okay,
And so in an effort just to improve it, it's been a long conversation with the city, but how we can actually improve that particular corridor. But and the initial effort was to kind of figure out a way if we needed to formally get the additional, it was 0.6 months, to get 50%, and then we were going to just expand it to whatever dedicated thing. So we accomplished that without.
okay, yeah, what I didn't want to read into this, so this is not a concern about the public saying you've got too many red lanes.
No, it's us saying that we would like to have more where we can.
The congestion's on.
And that's affecting number points. But we're not hearing from the city or any other entity that's saying, we got a problem here because the remaining lanes that are vehicle traffic are problematic because of,
We actually haven't heard that.
because we need to be prepared
Yeah.
for that and have a good defensive response that says, that's how you do. That's how you do transit.
You need transit, yeah, you
You,
need lanes.
it's like sometimes downtown, when a building builds 100% capacity to drive to work, instead of actually not putting all the parking in it for single cars, you actually create an incentive for people to take up the form of transportation.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to make sure I understood the nexus of that.
Yeah.
Also, that's not.
To make it easy for cars all the time, that will not be helpful.
Sure, so the initial request was that we have a local stop that red dot all the way to the top left corner. And it's kind of the main local stop for connections to the poles, and the poles are 2 on the bottom right. And then if you look at the crosswalks right there, they're non-signalized. And so you have to cross if you're going east to be able to do that, which is not a safe crossing environment, as well as the street going north is narrow. I want to say it's cobblestone, or to some level of that. So it's not a great place. And we had 5 routes that lay over. So this was supposed to look at what kind of either operational schedule improvements we could make, or not having everything up on that top left corner, or was there a better location that we call basically a neighborhood transfer center? After a full study, there's not really a site. So we determined that we do want to move forward with some pedestrian improvements, as well as we are making schedule changes to routes so that there's less layover need at that stop. So it kind of eliminates the need for a transfer center. But the main thing is that we need crosswalks. There's a lot of misses, thankfully.
Talking about crosswalk improvements, like the flashing yellow, you got 26, to get across. There's no way to miss it.
Can you give me a reference point where that is, where the road is?
That's the Farm Fresh. And then the CVS is over on the right corner. It's 24th Street, before you kind of hit the bend to get to Williamsburg Road.
Okay. Top, almost top of the hill for crosswalk. Yeah.
Chimborazo.
And then it's, yes, we're close to that, right?
Yeah, you're right. A block away.
This is something we're very familiar with. Downtown transport station as trying to build a permanent transfer station downtown, working together with the city. I think we've been able to go through 2 public meetings, receive comments on the sites that were featured. Also, when the consultants together with comments from the public and GRTC, we've been able to narrow down into 2 downtown locations.
So the study will be done.
supposed to be wrapping up the effort in April. And then we did submit smart scale application in partnership with the city.
Yeah, so an updated presentation last meeting. The design and construction timeline, because the permanent transfer station is a complex block. And is it really design and construction or just design?
In that timeline?
Yeah.
That probably.
I would think it's just design.
That's even optimistic. I think I said like.
Because there's got to be partnerships
Best
and
case.
users.
Right, they're not our sites, of course, so. It's all the owners. What they ultimately want to do.
So, just wanted to do just a quick update on some of the things going on the, well, regarding the essential infrastructure plan. And that is effort to see if we can improve about 75% of the stuff on our system. At least we have a range of addressing some of these stuff. And we've been working very hard to get this going. So, it's one of the things that we have currently been able to achieve is the directive drawing, where it's more of like an engineering standard packet for shelter and amenity installation. So it's like a design packet where you can hand over to like an individual, just to give building. This is from our design.
So if there's a private developer who's developing in an area where there's going to be a stop,
Right.
they can factor in the things that are must-haves by GRTC, but still make it look like part of their development.
And we've also placed orders for 50 shelters. This was done October last year, and we're hoping that it's going to be here by July of this year. One of the things which is going to be a part of this process is it's also looking at some other stuff within the system that will need improvement, and we will continue to put it in concrete paths, benches, and trash cans until we get between January and now, we've been able to install benches and trash cans at 32 stops, and this has happened along Richmond Highway, Hall Street, and Chamber. And we're also piloting those pole mounted seats and solar lights, which we have received prototypes that have been approved by the city. So we I think the next step on this is that we're working to send out letters to the public, for them to give us comment back when we install these things.
No, that's so.
Oh, yeah, right. What it kind of looks like. Yeah. So this is the seat and I know, and it's all consistent stuff. It's not like a stuff.
All right, yep, item 2, Frank, FY25 capital projects. I know. Adrian?
Just wanted to update you on the applications that we put in for DRPT for merit for FY25. We will officially find out CCB approval on Tuesday. But overall, it was like 455.8, so it's up from around 22 million that we applied for last year. And they are broken down between the state regulatory, state of good repair, business improvement, service enhancements, and expansion development. I just put some of the highlights from the full applications. So we ordered some bus stop solar lights to kind of just pilot how those function within the system, and then we will go back and transfer. And then interior exterior facility lighting. I will say that the lighting that they have done already in the maintenance facility, I didn't realize that the mechanics were working hard. It's like literally day and night. So that will happen. And then the back of our facility, if you look at it from like a night camera, we're right next to the police station, and they're just like lit up like an airport. And then so we need to improve our lighting.
So state of good repair seems to be mostly the physical vehicles.
Yeah.
I mean, because I'm looking across there, it just looks like it's over 50% of the totals.
It's a large amount of vehicles and that are making the number, yeah. The last one I like here for is cybersecurity. We got a lot of instances over the last November. So we are improving upon that, policies. State of good repair, you get those, we requested 21 new vehicles to replace the ones that have their useful life, and then same with our paratransit vehicles, 28 of those. It also includes a lot of maintenance equipment, like wash upgrade, shop equipment. Those are not state of good repairs for them yet, but
Those new or the repairs to exist?
it could be so type of replacement, so the new vehicles, but they have to replace something that already has its useful life. So state of good repairs basically
They're new assets.
useful life. Business improvements, we want to back up fueling tank for CNG, that one goes down. Minimal. Paratransit operations analysis, we want to just make that whole operation more efficient, so something dive into that. Service enhancement, we want to do real-time signs that hits like BRT stations, and then the ETI, shelter benches and trash cans, to add to the funds for that effort. And then expansion and development, downtown transfer station, we had applied for funding for NEPA, any sort of engineering effort to do the second time. Microtransit vehicles, the expansion ones, we applied to the max you could in terms of funds. 12 microtransit pilots was a large amount. That's for Richmond and Renko zones, and then the Route 1 extension to BCCS. So it's 14.2 million, second highest the asks.
So what's involved? Analysis. Request.
It was asked as a technical assistance program. I mean, she put those through the merit program also. So just kind of categorized it. That's it.
So, microtransit pilots, we're done with phase 1. So phase 2, is this all in phase 2, right?
So we haven't really dove into the phase 2 that came out of the microtransit study where you guys had your near term and the next term. We do need to dive back into that, but we were focused on just getting those other zones up and running first. The city did not have any, I believe, in the study. So they did their own study separate. These are from the city's Richmond Connect's microtransit study. I know they coordinated with the so those would go through, get the funds, the same sort of refinement over the next 9 months, and then we go to the
So just, I keep mentioning it because, we have that raise planning for hospitals. So whatever you're doing for that, you've got funding to do it
Okay,
for the.
okay, okay, yeah, I agree with some of the other ones, so that you might have had others.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, gotcha. She's like, I'm first.
That's the city.
That's your name on
All money.
it. Stay right.
Moving on to some service updates. Just wanted to share with you some updates on the one. One day going all the way extended on midway and all the way to the and then the 19 to Muslim. Yeah, the one day, we're all pretty much just doing well, but we wanted to share some updates on the extended segment of it. From this map, clearly you can tell that it starts at the Chester Town Center, and then the stuff at the end of the line goes at the Walmart. Those are the stops on the line so far. The on and off for all the stops. If you put it, totaling them up, on and off for February, March, those 2 full months that they have been significant increases. I think about 75% in terms of the on and off. So clearly, the segment is being impacted. We're seeing some progression.
So look at this map and I see a lot of yellow, basically from Johnson Willis East. And I see that those are reflective of between 0 and 1 per day. At the stops is a policy that the stop is always made, even if no one's there.
No, it's standing.
If no one's,
Oh, the bus stop, you're asking? No, only if it's flagged by someone who will see it on or off.
okay. In those locations currently, there's only a sign. Essentially.
And they would be prioritized for.
Yeah, I'm not trying to micro analyze this, but if that happens and you've got a lot of yellow through here, does that create timing challenges of getting to other stops when people are expecting it to happen? So if there's no stops, is there an expected time at which there's an arrival at just the Town Center?
Yes, so it could potentially be early because it had stop, so we got to slow it down and stop it for previous bus stop before we get to one that has time there. So if the time comes at just the council and they're just rolling down the road, because nobody's there, and they would need to stop at one of the stop before and wait for the time.
That's what I'm wondering if, as we grow along this border, where it goes north, as you have corridors where you're announcing stop locations, we're also announcing expected locate time at those locations, right?
No, it's just on your,
Yeah,
on your,
just stop.
your app would have it though. It should be it arrival.
Got it. Thank you.
And if they get there early, they still have to wait.
They wait till it starts. They wait till it resets.
The start of the 19 extension, most of us stopping, the sheltering on speed, one of them. So yeah, I think that can be, if we continue to do these extensions time, I'm not sure if we'll be able to see some good progress.
Do another slide to go, Chris.
Sorry,
Another 19 slide.
no.
I just want to keep saying the extension, but this route, I feel like the more monumental change was the expansion, which was the frequency change for it. And we have seen literally 100% increase on this route. I don't know if you have the numbers from the February, I have February to February the year before.
It was my first one.
Yeah, it's
So
the
that was
first
my-
time, it's the first
Right
time.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, a 2% increase.
That was all new frequency change.
That's, yes, but that's a lot.
Yeah.
No, no, I'm saying there's no other barrier.
No,
No lengthening of the.
the 0.6 mile is usually, but the main thing is you look at, they don't have, that's why I said they stop ridership, but stop ridership. At the individual stops and in RICO have increased in terms of use.
You're
Because it
still,
was, I think, way changed.
And so, yeah, it went from 30 to 15
and you're still alternating every other trip.
to, which is
Each
restricted.
one. Has that changed the ridership within the line?
I think it's something that we will have to look at.
It would be good to know.
It was actually public consumption. So the average person who were at the sheltering arm stop and who stand up there. Yeah, I saw her, it was like 60 something, 70 a day. Going away by that shelter, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Stop.
I think stops on the executive segment on staff going about 65%. We also want to touch a bit on micro transit. In March, we were able to launch, as you all know, 3 of those zones in addition to the area. Had some, we were trying to see if we could come up with some data from the system to share. System, but we were able to map some of the information that we have. So this is the Ashland zone where the pickups and drop-offs are happening within the zone. Clearly, you can tell those retail and commercial segments within the zone that, you know, these are the places where buses pick up, going on. The Walmart, the shopping center, and then we also have some residential places where system.
What's in the bottom?
Right here
Yeah.
is the King Trailer Shopping Center.
Sorry. Is Ramapo the biggest red? Or is that the west of there? That is the train station.
The star.
Oh, the Star, okay.
Got it,
Right,
okay,
yeah,
okay, all right, yeah. Okay, so there's really not a lot of, correlation with the school.
I think one thing was also to keep in mind is that it's just one. So if you give time, just like the time, the system becomes popular, then we don't need competition. More, but
So with the extension of the one to BCC, Gibson Fall, where then a mile. So we're gonna make that,
Extending the zone that 1 mile. Yeah, they will have that local service section.
this is the Cloverdale zone, and I mean, tied to the point that you're just making. So the, you know, microtransit, pretty much what we're trying to do is one, use it to serve places that didn't have service, and then also to connect to the existing lines. If you look at the green here, this is the, these are the existing GRTC local routes. You see how they overlap there. And, like I said, you know, we're just hoping that with time, people will get a good understanding of it. You know, look to the northeast east, see the one see out here and how, there's a lot of activity within the zone area.
This crowd where you were in the zone where you guys told the story about some person that had 2 hours out of her daily commute by being able to get.
She's walking to the sea.
Walking.
She works in short. She does, and she catches the ones.
So I gotta go closer, but actually, the OH serves as a corridor for certain routes.
That's the express route from.
Yeah, that's what I was.
Oh, they
And then the other story, it was shelter homes. People can work longer shifts.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I'm not as familiar with this, but I'm guessing there's a lot of sidewalk gaps.
Oh, there's,
There's no gaps in sidewalk because there's no sidewalk.
that's right. It's one big giant.
Even the one seat and the line is.
We have some by the wall. They were reconstructed. Oh, and in front of the.
Well, the good thing with microtransit in this case is you don't, that's less critical as long as it's safe.
I know, that's what I. You can't build the infrastructure. First time I saw.
Yeah, food service was coming across to Rommel for it. 18, some of the sidewalk on Broad Street, so they'll majority of it. It's all.
It's amazing.
It was hard, but when you get especially at the smart scale, just
We've applied over and over. Almost
Gesture. Or smart scale used to actually be a jet transit.
So this is the exit zone, and I think it's very similar story to what we saw connection to the Nova route. Certain places that where previously didn't have any type of service. Being able to connect to the it's key, and it's on the Amazon facility as well as the Brookville as a shopping center. Spots on the end. Yeah, we really wanted to get some numbers. Yeah, how often we haven't done it? We haven't done it. Yeah. The question, part of that is, so, but it's going on there, but we can have that. Because I think there are things that we can do. So.
Yeah, going back to that map, I mean, we've seen that map in several meetings now, and I think as time goes on, it may be helpful to us to see graphically states of change from previous. In other words, as microtransit grows, it would actually be good, in my opinion, to look at this map and just see red or green. where we're actually seeing changes greater or smaller than. I'm not exactly sure how that ends up looking, but the density looks here sort of limited value over time. It sort of looks like the same thing we've been looking at. And I think there'd be a lot of value gleaned from where is that energy going? Where can we start seeing trends into how it's being used versus just sort of empirical, this shopping center's got a dense use. That makes sense, but it doesn't really help us to think about what's going on.
No, I agree. I think we can show that with numbers as well. That piece.
But I love the graphic. I love that this says very quickly where it's happening. So I love the map. I love the maps and just being able to overlay and identify in there, maybe as a, you know, as this changes in a small amount between the reds and the purples and the blues or whatever, as it gets more and less dense, understanding the change in that over time is what I'm getting at.
Yeah, I think we can do that time to just show that over time. So, outside of the indicated early on, we wanted to get some limits from the chat. Like I said, we haven't done it before. So we just wanted to, you know, so that overview of what the has been doing so far. And this is from November to February. This is what like a total monthly ridership looks like. We were able to get some data, but we just didn't trust it to go back. It looks like the zone is still seeing significant increase in terms of. Yeah.
For comparison purposes, do you remember what the average monthly or daily ridership on the 93?
Yeah, there was a previous slide, but you can, when you look at it too, you can tell that when the microtransit was 83, you can see that 93.
But like the year before,
All the year before.
yeah, to see if the 93 back in 2022, what it did versus what microtransit does now that it's.
Right.
The 93 didn't fully overlap this microtransit, but a lot of the hotspots that are on that were what was served by the 93.
Yeah, because I mean, it's not really clear, but the gray line shows the line from 93.
Yeah.
So the 93, we were in 2022, 7,000.
And
So yours is about 2,100.
this is
What was that?
double.
Oh, 2,000.
I think that was our good assumption. Plus the 93 didn't serve Amazon. Close, but not long. So, and it was a difficult route to serve Amazon. It was, you know, we were already doing just so.
How are the microtransit operators liking it?
They are, the ones that are not. We have some vision that started, so they're in the process of hiring. But the ones that are starting now, they like. So there's a couple of them that started in November. So they went back to the travel.
Yeah. So one of us is sitting at the Walmart waiting.
Yeah, exactly.
So, just still some little bit of information about the trips, the monthly trips keeps going up, and you can tell that with in terms of the trip, let's say they want to trips as, you know, the system grows, people are still getting a good understanding of the people are actually getting it. Like, houses of the other side, because inside and efficient people really trust. So that is also what I'm looking for. And then the average wait time, from our surveys, stand up, always sitting there was maximum of 2. This is what we've been doing so far. So
Is that a lot of data that's making up those averages? Like this is
you do, so yeah,
fairly reliable averages.
yeah, because from the numbers that we see, you rarely see it. Barely see it. I think we're right.
It's every trip, is it there? Of course, 2100, they can show certain.
So it's not the same, but it's there.
It's everything. And I guess it's sharing why we're not able to separate it. We're using VIA as a system when we do all the booking of it, and for some reason it has combined them as one giant zone. But they've like color coded it, so we're trying to separate between what is their zone name versus ours. So this was what we have because this was the only one that existed before the others.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Now the triple method is also critical because you also how people access the system. I think I've said this before, in as much as we are encouraging technology, we're also looking at how to get everybody going. Just make sure that we still offer people the choice. Yeah, and some major service updates for FY24. We're looking at making changes to the Route 1, as well as the 70 and then the 7B to be able to provide a direct service to the Richmond. Then looking at the major touch on this, the microtransit study from this. These are the zones that need and also doing some routing span and handling changes on route 5 and 7, as well as the 50.
Unfunded priority.
All right, so it's item number 3 on the agenda, transit strategic planning. Yes.
The next slide. So this is our strategic plan. It's our 10-year plan, sets out DRPT recommendations, DRPT guidelines, and how we can structure service level recommendations throughout the 10 years. So we've been working with our consultants Foursquare on the best way to do this. All right, so with that being said, we have already gone through basic conditions and service level recommendations for our consulting group. And in that process, we did a lot of outreach. So we had our origin destination survey, which is our boots on the ground or on buses doing our survey of our riders. We did public survey of the recommendations. That was an online campaign, QR codes, our transit helped pass that out. We also did a lot of social media pushes and events that we did in person to let people know what was happening, what the changes were, to get input. The pop-up events were at our major hubs, downtown transfer station, 23rd Franklin, Southside Plaza. operations, dispatch, transit supervisors, as well as admin staff to review those service level recommendations. Next up was our stakeholder advisory groups. This included kind of all of the major payers for Richmond, our TPO, our Bay Rapid Transit, local church, advocacy groups, sponsor boards, GRTC board of directors, jurisdictional partners. Anyone that would come, correct. We've been to the development committee to do our updates. And then we have done a jurisdictional phasing review. So what that is this handout. And by phasing, we mean over the 10 years for this plan, where do the service level recommendations go in? So when you look at this document, it is broken into fiscal year, and it has the route number on the left, description of the change, and then the far columns are whether it's an alignment change, a span, or a headway. And I don't know that we necessarily need to dive into all of this. I just wanted to have a copy. You will notice some out years at the end. By out years, we don't need longer than 10 years. We just need, it's not far enough along to maybe put it in a fiscal year just yet. So with that being said, this is a living document that once we finalize, we'll go for finalization next month. Once we get it back from the consultant in its form. But this will be a living document that we can update annually as we see fit. So as priorities, needs, funding change, we do have the ability to go in there and add or move things around. And then where we want right now, so like I said, we're in the finalizing these phasing recommendations, but they can move on to the financial constraints portion and get that right before they finalize.
So this will go to the board, it has to be approved by the board, and then also go to the RTPO. So we plan to go to the board in May, we'll see the full plan. Just want to reemphasize the living document, the phasing area that we work together to move or flag, and like I say, a lot of notes in the final document where it says recommendation to do or move to a future year. There's plenty that we already intend to shift based on jurisdictional conversation. But it's at least captured. So,
yeah, so like in Chesterfield, there's this one home working zone. We've got other zones, doesn't matter if it's not listed. You know, I understand that we can shift. That should happen here. I think yes. Yeah, I like all of those. Okay. Sure.
Do we do any pop-ups and pop-up events and
So we did go along with our consultants. We did it as an interim staff. And then of course, it needs to needs to say everyone. We did a lot of this in-house. So we always had our consultants, but even the surveying on the buses, planning, scheduling, marketing, all had shifts that went out to our questions. Riders what was needed. Showing us strong.
The OD covered every single route.
Yes.
It's just basically.
Does anyone else have questions for our motion?
The background position was
Yes, all right, this is our revenue hours time route. So you can see in fiscal year spread out the columns and the rows we call our the internal change year over year. So it kind of lines up with that combined level of recommendations. So we're in the revenue accounts. Top and our year change and our percent change. We ask the consultants to, for the most part, stay between like 3 and 4% change year over year. There was a couple of years that we went over on ERT projects. We'll do that in and of themselves.
Okay, so this reflects this guy.
Right, yeah, the hours needed to make those service level adjustments are reflected in the revenue table.
So, going back to Barb's question about election. So we have what program for 25. Then I don't see anything else. Yeah, so they're out.
But nothing from the secretary. Or do they even have the ones that they recommended? Yeah.
So, but it's not all of them that were.
I don't think they reference that too much.
So it's a little problematic. Some of them, but all.
Yeah. I'll have them go back to. So many notes that I have in there, but I just wanted to capture it. I mean, this is for GRTC, and so when we go back and funding has to be.
Right.
So I've asked them to, even if they can't put it in terms of hours, send you a spreadsheet. If they can at least include it in there, that the GRTC is prioritizing that in this fiscal year and receive funds as they have been identified for collaboration.
Yeah, I mean, maybe.
You know, how it says it's 21st.
Transits,
Yeah.
study.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Phase two,
yeah.
phase three.
Yeah, we're hurting ourselves.
It needs to be.
So. For
Yeah.
Well, the TSP is really just focused on out, not
Everything has to be, we apply for merit. It has to be in that document.
guide, permanent evolution.
Yeah, our leader placement in here, our FY25 capital, we did 5-year capital as well. And like I said, it's a living document, make sure as the capital is done, the updates to it are due right before merit.
Can you do it every 4 years? Any other questions on the TSP? Yeah, question.
Good question. Is there anything to go after?
Only one, yeah.
Get across that.
This is the only
Okay.
Yeah, okay, so, state legislation requires, GRTC to develop a regional public transportation. And this has to be done in collaboration with the IRC. And, it's a plan that helps us here identify, how we intend to spend CVT money in upcoming fiscal year. So for FY25, these are the priorities that we have listed. Just to, run through a quick, one of the priorities is to ensure that we are able to stabilize and maintain the current transit service levels. The second one is also to make sure that we prioritize capital requirements to be able to make sure that our assets are in good shape of the region. Thirdly, we will continue to prioritize the pattern of micro transit. Then there's also the need for us to continue to advance planning studies both for operational and capital needs to make informed decisions. Then lastly, we also want to leave room for expansion and any sort of FY25. So this is where this is how we intend to focus is CDC. For FY24, just to give you a big glance of what happened with the CDC funds between FY24 and 2025. For FY24, we received that 30.8 million, and we used I think about 24.5 million, and we have about 5.0 of that left. And for FY25, we are projected to get about 32.2 million. So I think Bob and Todd, you've seen this before. So what we're kind of recommending from this group is to approve for this to go to the board.
So, because this is involving funding, this also has a yes, yeah.
No, they meet right after.
So are we making a separate recommendation for finance to the board, or are we making a recommendation?
It should be.
That was a question.
Question, right? Just an issue.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay. So on that page, there's a draft recommendation to support that. Transportation plan, and that would be our recommendation to finance. Is there any discussion?
Somebody want to make that motion?
Discussion. All in favor, say aye. Thank you. Yeah. I think everyone's been happy to hear that. All right, next one is. Next on the agenda is legislative recap.
It was a recap, but it seems like it's still active right now. House Bill 285 is the better bus stop bill. There was a meeting that happened today about some concerns with it. There's going to be another meeting tomorrow with the patron of the bill. When the bill first was introduced, I think the goal still today of the patron is to make sure that if you look outside when it's raining, she wants to make sure that people are getting shelters that desire shelters, and there's nothing that's stopping that are competing in the process. So Virginia Transit Association put forth a bill, or they went to the patron, Delegate McQuinn, and asked her to put forth a bill on behalf of agencies that I'm not sure, we were not one of those agencies, to change the process of how bus shelters are approved. I think I know I've spoken to you about that, Barb, and like everything in the Virginia legislature, things take a different shape. So as this bill began to move through the legislature, some things were picked and taken out that might have negatively impacted or been perceived to negatively impact localities, especially counties like Chesterfield and Rico. When that came about, we took a position of being just neutral. GRTC, and I guess I can say this because you guys both represent those localities. And talking with Joe Casey and Patocus, I don't deal with the local elected officials, but you guys as board members can rest assured that GRTC won't take a legislative position against a locality without you guys being aware of it. So if Natalie called you or Michael called you, I'm not sure what's going on right now as far as the opposition, but GRTC is not taking positions against our partners without our partners being aware of their struggles, agent leadership. That's just not happening. So BTA does represent all transit localities or most of the transit localities in the Commonwealth of Virginia. Doesn't necessarily mean their positions represent GRTC. So right now, what happened was, what we believe, DGS, Department of General Services, usually works under the authority of the governor. They're bad actors right now in DGS that aren't speaking for the governor, but speaking against the governor's recommendation or what the governor wants when it comes to better bus stops. And because of that pushback, Senate Democrats came back and changed language in the bill to make sure that the state was always absolved of liability. The concern that I had was the state is not absolved, the state is absolved of liability. It falls back on our localities. That's when I got involved, spoke directly with Danny, and Danny had a three-way with me in BRPT. When I spoke with BRPT, they had someone that knew legal there, and it's always been assumed or always understood and recommended for BRPT that even though it's on the VI state right away, it's always a local government property. The liability always falls on the local government. And speaking with Michael or speaking with Natalie, that's a different opinion from those different representatives from the legal matters from those localities. So we stood away, we backed up off of it. And as a result of that, the bill came out with a one-year sunset. The concern was in that one-year sunset that localities, not specifically Chesterfield or Michael, would be able to stand up a program quickly enough, get shelter in place before the sunset expired and started the process all over again. The governor came back with a recommendation of 3 years. And speaking with the patron, she wants to pursue the 3 years. There's going to probably be some pushback from the Senate, and maybe even localities up in Michael and Chesterfield. GRTC still not taking a position on it. We will be involved in the meeting that's happening tomorrow. The board chair, Tyrone Nelson, in the patron of the bill, and that process unfolds. It's something that I believe that we will probably have to make a position on, and you guys will have communication coming directly from Shirley. So it should be no backdoors of, we don't know where GRTC stands. I know you guys represent your localities. I represent GRTC. Rest assured, just because you guys are on our board, we will be aware of any opposition that GRTC faces towards the locality. So there should be no flat foot in that part.
So the 3 year sunset sounds like positive, but it doesn't sound like the liability issue.
So I think the issue, the sunset, and I don't want to speak for local governments, the sunset was what the localities wanted because they didn't understand the liability issue. We were also contacted, Anthony Carter was contacted here about the liability of that 1 year sunset gave Natalie and Michael, I guess, peace in the valley. We can see what happens over the year. The 3 year now is a little bit more leeway. I'm not sure the positions of the localities right now, 1 and 3 years. But what's being said from BTA is that 3 year window is allowing localities or transit properties more time to be able to stand up the program and successfully show that it can be a shelter of enjoyment.
Yeah.
We're kind of the opposite of that. Legislative representation, like Danny's on there. Interested parties. I think there's the issue between the impact of the sunset on working, getting a better understanding of the legislation, impact of the legislation, liability, and the issue of having more time to get structures installed is things like it's not an issue of getting structures installed. It's an issue of getting everybody in the room that needs to discuss the issue of liability. Because there's clearly a disconnect between, at least like Chesterfield's legal teams and apparently the state. So what caused a lot of this stuff came out in the 11th or the 11th and a half hour of the General Assembly. There's not time to do that. So the idea was put a 1 year sunset on it. So those items can be discussed, come back while we still have the current legislators in place. Because if you push it out for 3 years, we still have a different General Assembly. who knows where this plan is at that point. So there's a lot of unknowns and risks. So we were willing to take on the risk of a 1 year, because there will be shelters installed within state right of way in that 1 year period. So we're willing to make that compromise for years. If you can't get this liability issue worked out 1 year, we have.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's a year sunset is worse. Just because for us, I feel like, just put everything on hold.
So,
Because we won't want to risk having that liability.
And that's what I told the group on the call this morning. It's like, if this is getting pushed out, I'm gonna have to go to the county attorney to ask them if it's okay from our liability and their interpretation of that, whether it's okay to install shelter and state right of way. Otherwise, we'll just focus on putting them on county right of way, which Chesterfield doesn't even have that option. So that's why Chesterfield was on the call, so they pretty much said that. That's what we.
So again, I think we're trying to be Switzerland as GRTC, as the wind is blowing, it's going to pick up steam. I think board members from both of your counties are going to come up and they're going to start supporting it, just like politics of it all. I think the issue that's coming up is that 1 year sunset, even if you do implement that and the shelter isn't built within time, the way it's being shared is that means that somebody will start. So if Barb tries to stand up a new process for Chesterfield to put the shelter up, and it's December of 2024, and June 2024 comes, and that process is halfway through, and July 1, 2025 hits, that restarts, that makes you start over. So that, I know that is one of the concerns for the proponents or the people that are pushing. Another one that I could see is, even if you do put a shelter up in the state property right now, I think I have spoken to you, Barbara, when the question was, for me, I only do apples to apples. So if it takes 12 months to get shelter done, that's what our goal is. Let's do that. But it was taking Chesterfield 30 months. People from Chesterfield were sharing that with the BTA committee, that it's taking too long to get it done. And cutting BGS out of that, or BG, that's out of that process. We'll find that and streamline that process to whatever the local government wants to do. So
But another thing would be.
it would be, but you can't fix it if it's supposed to be the governor's voice and they're directly contradicting what the governor's saying. So I've never seen it that way happen. It's brand new. So that is a concern. I think what you guys are sharing is spot on. Tomorrow I'll be Switzerland on the call with delegate. We're not engaged with it through the VTA process. So Todd had a call today with VTA and RBA Rapid Transit. I wasn't invited because I'm not a part of the VTA, but delegate Quinn values GRTC's opinion in these type of matters. So the reason that we're invited tomorrow is because of delegate Quinn, not particularly for VTA or the promoters that are trying to push, just so you guys are aware. For model, and the last thing I guess I'll share is when model was successful in getting budget language in. That budget language was over 2 years, they wanted $150 million. And I think Mr. Engel would agree with me on this. If anybody gets money, strangely, we should get money too. But the governor came back with some amendments a few days ago, and those amendments cut that down to about $130 million over the 2 years. The problem is, when it was first put in, I'm pretty sure you guys saw the news, it was going on with the stadium, et cetera. Senator Lucas pulled that money away in the state budget. So there's no money at first. Then at the end, when it finally came out, it had $150 million. The governor's recommendation is for 130, and only 28 billion of that's coming from the state. He's going to be relying on local funds to fill that delta. That's one ECC, which is comparable to like a CBTA of Richmond. They're going to have to find that, they're going to have to backfill that money. That's going to really hurt the model. And knowing that, we're trying to set that forward for other transit properties or transportation omnibus packages. So that $150 million that they asked for was to stop that for the next 2 years. That cliff is still coming. When that cliff arrives or whatever else, however they address that cliff, we want to be prepared at GRTC to make sure that we're included in that transportation package for whatever that money, those monies look like. So as that comes online, you guys will be more and more aware of that. We are convening, luckily, Richmond GRTC is convening other transit properties to start preparing apples to apples for other districts, like to have those options for how we move forward, if that makes sense. So yeah, please stay on the lookout for that. And just so you guys are aware, if it was $150 million state ask, the governor just came back and said you're only getting $28 million from the state. In comparison, I think Hampton Roads gets $20 million from the state recreation tax. So whatever the answer is going to be for these new property or these new funding pots, it's going to probably be a regional answer. So let's just be looking at the crystal ball and pushing it. But that's just a quick update. I wish I could have gave you closure and give you guys reports, but hopefully after legal session next week, we'll have more concrete details of what's happening.
Any other business?